Admiral Lee June stood on the bridge of the Earth's Hope, watching the massive alien station grow larger on the main screen. After 300 years of dreaming about this moment, humanity was finally meeting other intelligent life. His hands shook slightly as he adjusted his uniform. Everything had to be perfect. "Sir, we're getting a response to our greeting message," said Dr. Park Hana from her position at the communications console. Her voice was calm, but Lee June could see the excitement in her eyes. As Earth's best xenobiologist and diplomat, she had spent her entire career preparing for this day. "Put it on screen," Lee June ordered. The view screen flickered, and a face appeared that made several crew members gasp. The alien had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, blue-green skin, and breathing tubes where a human nose would be. When it spoke, the translator converted its words into Korean. "Unknown vessel. You are in Galactic Empire space. State your purpose or be destroyed." Lee June stepped forward. "This is Admiral Lee June of the United Earth Fleet. We come in peace, seeking friendship and trade with your people." The alien's 4 eyes narrowed. "You are not on our approved species list. You will follow our escort ships to Station Omega-7 for processing." Dr. Park Hana moved closer to Lee June. "Processing? That doesn't sound good," she whispered. "We'll go along for now," Lee June decided. "We need to learn more about them." The journey to Station Omega-7 took 6 hours. During that time, Captain Kim Tae kept his ship Defiance hidden behind a nearby asteroid, watching everything through long-range sensors. His orders were clear: stay hidden unless the main fleet was in real danger. When they arrived at the station, Lee June was amazed by its size. The thing was bigger than Earth's moon, with thousands of ships docked around it. The escort ships guided Earth's Hope to a small docking bay. "Sir, they're demanding we come aboard with only small weapons," reported the security chief. "Agreed," Lee June said. "Dr. Park, select a small team. We're going to make history." The docking tube connected with a loud clang. Lee June, Dr. Park Hana, and 4 security officers stepped through the airlock into a world unlike anything they had imagined. The corridors were huge, built for beings much larger than humans. Strange smells filled the air, and the gravity was slightly stronger than Earth normal. Their escorts were different from the first alien they had seen. These creatures walked on 6 legs and had shells like giant crabs. They didn't speak, just gestured for the humans to follow. The council chamber was enormous. 12 different alien species sat around a circular table, each more strange than the last. Some had tentacles, others had multiple heads, and one looked like it was made of living crystal. "So these are the new primitives," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The speaker was a tall, thin being with gray skin and no visible mouth. "I am High Chancellor Vorthak. You will kneel." Lee June remained standing. "We come as equals, seeking peaceful relations." Several aliens made sounds that the translator couldn't convert. Lee June realized they were laughing. "Equals?" Vorthak's mental voice was filled with amusement. "You have 1 star system. We rule 12,000 systems across the galaxy. You have no idea what technology really is." Dr. Park Hana stepped forward, her diplomatic training taking over. "We may be new to space travel, but we offer unique perspectives and innovations. Our species excels at problem-solving and adaptation." "Your species excels at nothing we haven't seen before," said another alien, this one covered in what looked like living metal. "Every primitive species thinks they're special." "What do you want from us?" Lee June asked directly. "Simple," Vorthak replied. "Complete surrender. Hand over your military, your government, and your technology. You will become a protected species under Empire rule. And if we refuse? Then you will learn why 12,000 species chose to surrender rather than fight." Lee June felt his temper rising, but Dr. Park Hana put a gentle hand on his arm. Perhaps we could discuss terms, she suggested. There are no terms, Vorthak said. Submit or die. You have one local day to decide. The humans were escorted to a waiting area that felt more like a prison cell. The walls were thick metal, and the door had no handle on the inside. They're not interested in diplomacy, Dr. Park Hana said quietly. No, they're not, Li Jun agreed. But we knew this was a possibility. Hours passed. Finally, their escorts returned and led them back to the council chamber. Li Jun had made his decision. We need more time to consult with our government, he said. Time? Vorthak seemed amused. Very well. To show our patience, we will give you a demonstration of Empire justice. The main screen activated, showing 3 human colony ships that had been exploring nearby systems. Li Jun's blood went cold as he recognized the ships, New Seoul, Busan, and Daegu. Each carried 5,000 colonists. No, Dr. Park Hana whispered. Watch and learn, Vorthak said. Empire warships appeared around the colony ships. The human vessels tried to run, but they were too slow. Energy beams cut through their hulls like knives through paper. In less than 10 minutes, 15,000 innocent people were dead. You monsters, Li Jun said, his voice shaking with rage. We are teachers, Vorthak replied. And you have just learned your first lesson. Submit now, or every human world will burn. Li Jun looked at the faces of his team. Dr. Park Hana was crying silently. The security officers had their hands on their weapons, ready to die fighting. I need to contact my ship, Li Jun said. Agreed. Make your surrender official. But when the communications channel opened, Li Jun didn't surrender. Instead, he looked directly into the camera and said, Captain Kim Tae, are you recording this? Yes, sir, came the reply from the Defiance. Good. Make sure Earth sees everything. Tell them what happened here. Tell them what these creatures did to our people. Vorthak realized too late what was happening. Stop this transmission! But Li Jun continued talking. Tell Earth that we offered peace and they chose murder. Tell them that the Galactic Empire wants war. Security aliens rushed forward, but Li Jun kept talking. Tell them we don't stop until it's ash! The transmission cut as alien weapons fired. The last thing Captain Kim Tae saw was Admiral Li Jun falling, still defiant. Kim Tae watched from his hidden position as Earth's hope exploded, taking Dr. Park Hana and the entire crew with it. His hands gripped the controls of his ship as rage filled his heart. Sir, orders? Asked his communications officer. Kim Tae stared at the expanding debris field that had been his friends and colleagues. Set course for Earth. Maximum speed. Sir, what should we tell them? Kim Tae's voice was cold as space itself. Tell them to prepare for war. Total war. The Defiance jumped to hyperspace, carrying news that would change everything. Behind them, the Galactic Empire celebrated what they thought was an easy victory. They had no idea what they had just awakened. General Yoon Seok stood in the war room beneath the Korean peninsula, watching news feeds from around the world. Every major city was erupting in protest. People demanded action. They wanted revenge for the 15,000 colonists murdered by the Galactic Empire. Sir, Captain Kim Tae has arrived, announced his aide. Kim Tae entered the room, still wearing his spacesuit. His face was pale and his eyes were red from crying. General, I have the full recording of what happened. Show me everything. For the next hour, Yoon Seok watched the footage in silence. He saw Admiral Li Jun's brave attempt at diplomacy. He watched Dr. Park Hana try to find peaceful solutions, and he witnessed the cold-blooded murder of 3 colony ships. How many ships do they have? Yoon Seok asked when the recording ended. Our sensors detected at least 50,000 in that sector alone, Kim Tae replied, and that was just a small part of their empire. 50,000. Yoon Seok rubbed his forehead. We have 300 ships, and most of them are exploration vessels. General, we can't fight them, said Defense Minister Park Won from across the table. The math is impossible. Yoon Seok was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up and walked to the window overlooking Seoul. You're right. We can't fight them. The normal way. He turned back to the room. But we're not going to fight them the normal way. We're going to fight them the human way. What do you mean? Kim Tae asked. I mean, we're going to show them what happens when you back a human into a corner. Dr. Lim Soo, how long would it take to convert every factory on Earth to military production? Dr. Lim Soo, the head of Earth's weapons research, looked surprised. Complete conversion? 6 months, maybe 8? You have 4 months. Captain Kim Tae, how many pilots can we train in that same time? If we use flight simulators and compressed training, maybe 50,000. Make it 100,000. And I want volunteers for a special mission. People who understand they probably won't come home. Sir, what kind of mission? Kim Tae asked. Yoon Seok smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. The kind that will make the Empire wish they had never heard of Earth. 4 months later, the first test happened. An Empire patrol fleet of 12 ships approached the outer edge of human space, expecting to find a beaten enemy ready to surrender. Instead, they found Colonel Oh Jin waiting for them. Oh Jin commanded a small fleet of 20 human ships, but these weren't the exploration vessels the Empire expected. These were something new, something the aliens had never seen before. Unknown ships, you are ordered to surrender, came the Empire transmission. This is Colonel Oh Jin of the Earth Defense Force. You murdered our people, now you pay. The Empire ships opened fire first, confident in their superior weapons. But when their energy beams hit the human ships, something strange happened. The beams scattered off new types of shields that Dr. Lim Soo had designed. Impossible, the Empire commander said. Their technology is primitive. Oh Jin's voice came back cold and calm. You want to see primitive? Let us show you primitive. The human ships didn't try to fight at long range like civilized species. Instead, they charged straight at the Empire vessels. When they got close, they released swarms of small fighters piloted by Kang Bora and her squadron. The fighters moved in ways that made no sense to the Empire pilots. They spun and rolled and dove like crazy birds. When Empire ships tried to target them, the fighters would suddenly group together and ram straight into enemy hulls. They're using suicide attacks, screamed an Empire pilot. Negative, Kang Bora's voice was steady as she lined up her damaged fighter for a ramming run. We're using whatever works. Her fighter punched through the bridge of an Empire cruiser. The ship exploded, taking 2 others with it. But the real surprise came when the human ships themselves started ramming. When their weapons were damaged, they used the ships as weapons. When their engines failed, they used the explosion as weapons. In 30 minutes, all 12 Empire ships were destroyed. Only 3 human ships survived, and they were badly damaged. Command, this is Colonel Oh Jin. Mission successful. The enemy is dead. Copy that, Colonel. Return to base for repairs. But Oh Jin wasn't done. Negative, Command. We're proceeding to the next target. These ships still have fight left in them. 2 weeks later, the Empire sent a larger fleet. 80 ships this time, led by an experienced commander who had conquered 6 star systems. They found Captain Nam Yoon waiting for them with 40 human ships. This is Captain Nam Yoon. You have 1 chance to leave our space alive. The Empire commander laughed. 40 ships against 80? You humans really are primitive. You're right, Nam Yoon agreed. We are primitive. That's what makes us dangerous. The battle began badly for the humans. The Empire ships were better armed and better armored. Human ships started exploding within the first few minutes. But then something happened that the Empire commander had never seen before. Instead of retreating when they started losing, the human ships fought harder. Ships with destroyed weapons used themselves as missiles. Crews with dying ships aimed for the biggest Empire vessel they could reach. And when human ships were completely destroyed, the crews ejected in small escape pods that were loaded with explosives. They're not trying to survive, the Empire commander realized with horror. They're trying to kill as many of us as possible. By the end of the battle, 79 Empire ships were destroyed. Only one was allowed to escape, and only because Captain Nam Yun wanted it to carry a message. Tell your leaders, Nam Yun broadcast to the fleeing ship, that this is what happens when you murder our children. Every ship you send will destroy. Every world you value will burn. We don't stop until it's ash. The surviving Empire ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying news that changed everything the Empire thought they knew about warfare. 3 months later, the Empire tried again. This time they sent 500 ships, commanded by their best admiral. General Yoon Sok met them personally, commanding Earth's new flagship, Vengeance. His fleet had only 200 ships, but these weren't the same ships the Empire had faced before. Dr. Lim Su had been busy. The new human ships carried weapons that the Empire couldn't understand, quantum disruptors that tore holes in reality itself, nano-machine swarms that ate enemy ships from the inside, and worst of all, psychological warfare broadcasts that showed exactly what humans did to their enemies. The battle lasted 3 days. When it was over, not a single Empire ship remained. The human fleet had lost 60 ships, but every single human crew fought until their ship was completely destroyed. The last Empire transmission was a plea for mercy. "We surrender, please! We surrender!" General Yoon Seok's response was broadcast across the galaxy. "You had your chance for surrender. You chose murder instead. Now you get to learn what humans do to murderers." Back on Earth, President Song Hai addressed the world. The Empire wanted to see what humans are capable of. Now they know. We are not a peaceful species. We are not a forgiving species. We are a species that protects its children. The Empire has one choice: complete withdrawal from all human space, or we will turn their entire civilization into ash. There will be no negotiations. There will be no mercy. There will be no quarter given. They wanted war. Now they have it. In the depths of space, human ships began moving toward Empire territory. Each ship carried the same message painted on its hull. Remember the new soul. The Empire was about to learn why no one in human history had ever successfully conquered Earth. They were about to face a species that had spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of total war. And they were going to lose. Supreme Chancellor Vorthak floated in his meditation chamber, his 4 eyes closed in concentration. The reports from the frontier battles disturbed him more than he wanted to admit. 3 Empire fleets destroyed by a primitive species that had barely learned to travel between stars. "Chancellor," came the voice of his aide through the communication system. "War Master Zephyrian requests an immediate audience." "Send him in." The chamber door slid open, and War Master Zephyrian entered. The reptilian commander was the Empire's greatest military mind, the being who had conquered 47 star systems, without a single defeat. His scaled face showed worry. "Chancellor, we need to talk about the human problem." Vorthak opened his eyes. "Problem? They are insects. Annoying insects, but still insects. These insects have destroyed over 600 of our ships in 4 months. And we have 50,000 more ships. The math still favors us." Zephyrian sat down heavily. "It's not about numbers anymore, Chancellor. It's about method. These humans fight like no species we've ever encountered." "Explain." "They use suicide attacks as standard tactics. Their ships ram ours even when they could escape. They treat their own lives as ammunition." Zephyrian paused. "Chancellor, they're not trying to win battles. They're trying to kill as many of us as possible before they die." Vorthak waved a dismissive hand. "Fear tactics. Every primitive species tries psychological warfare when they realize they're outmatched." "This isn't fear tactics," Zephyrian insisted. I've studied the battle recordings. In the last engagement, a human ship with a dying crew used their nuclear reactor as a bomb. They vaporized themselves and 3 of our cruisers just to deny us information about their technology. So they're suicidal. That makes them easier to defeat, not harder. No, Chancellor. Suicidal enemies are predictable. These humans are something different. They're methodical. They calculate exactly how much damage they can do before dying, and then they do it. Before Vorthak could respond, another aide entered. The chamber. Chancellor, we have an incoming transmission from the human ambassador. Ambassador? Vorthak was confused. We killed their diplomatic team. This is a new one, sir. She claims to have important peace proposals. Vorthak exchanged glances with Zephyrian. Very well. Put her through. The main screen activated, showing a young human female with dark hair and calm eyes. She wore simple diplomatic robes and spoke in clear, measured tones. Supreme Chancellor Vorthak, I am Ambassador Han So-young, representing the United Earth. Government, I come with proposals for ending this conflict. How refreshing, Vorthak replied. Your species has finally come to its senses. Perhaps. But first, I need to understand your demands. For the next hour, Han So-young asked detailed questions about Empire law, military structure, and government systems. She seemed genuinely interested in finding a peaceful solution. Vorthak began to relax. You see, he told Zephyrian privately, given enough pressure, even the most stubborn species becomes reasonable. What Vorthak didn't know was that Han So-young was recording everything. Every detail about Empire defenses, every piece of information about their military plans, every weakness in their command structure. Meanwhile, in the outer systems, Commander An Wu was putting that information to use. An Wu commanded the Human Deep Strike Fleet, 50 ships designed for one purpose, hitting the Empire where it hurt most. While the Empire focused on the big battles, An Wu attacked their supply lines. Target confirmed, reported his sensor officer. Empire Supply, Depot Sector 7. Estimated garrison, 200 ships. Any civilians? An Wu asked. Negative, sir. Military only. Good. Begin the attack. The human ships came out of hyperspace in the middle of the Empire formation. Before the aliens could react, every human ship released its entire missile load. At point-blank range, the supply depot exploded in a chain reaction that could be seen from 3-star systems away. An Wu's ships were destroyed in the blast, but they had taken out enough supplies to cripple Empire operations in 4 sectors. Similar attacks happened across the galaxy. Human ships appeared, caused maximum damage, and disappeared. They hit shipyards, research stations, and communication hubs. They never tried to hold territory. They just destroyed everything they could reach. They're fighting like pirates, complained one Empire admiral. No, Zephyrian corrected. Pirates want to profit. These humans want to destroy. The Empire's response was predictable. They gathered their Grand Armada, 10,000 of their best ships commanded by their most experienced officers. It was the largest military force in galactic history. Chancellor, Zephyrian said as they watched the fleet assemble, I still think this is a mistake. The humans aren't fighting to win. They're fighting to hurt us as much as possible. 10,000 ships, War Master. Even if every human ship destroys 5 of ours, we still win. But at what cost? Vorthak's mental voice was cold. Whatever cost is necessary. The other species are watching. If we show weakness against primitives, the entire Empire could collapse. The Grand Armada launched with great ceremony. News broadcasts across the Empire proclaimed the coming final victory. Citizens celebrated in the streets. The human problem would be solved once and for all. Ambassador Han So-young watched the launch from the observation deck of the Empire Capital Station. Her face showed no emotion, but inside she was counting ships and noting weapon configurations. Impressive display, she commented to her Empire escort. Indeed, your species fought bravely, but this is the end. Han So-young nodded. Yes, this is the end. That night, she sent a coded transmission to Earth. Package delivered. Target confirmed. 10,000 ships, standard formation. Recommend Operation Hellfire. On Earth, General Yoon Seok received the message and smiled grimly. Everything was going according to plan. Send word to all fleet commanders, he ordered. The Empire is bringing their best toys to play. Time to show them what human toys can do. The Grand Armada jumped to hyperspace, confident in their overwhelming superiority. They expected to find desperate human defenders trying to protect their homeworld. Instead, they found Admiral Jiang Min waiting for them with humanity's entire battle fleet. 2,000 ships arranged in a formation that made no tactical sense. "This is Admiral Jiang Min of the Earth Defense Force," came the human transmission. "You came here to destroy our world. We came here to destroy you." War Master Zephyrian studied the human formation through his sensors. Something was wrong. The human ships were spread too thin, positioned in patterns that left them vulnerable to concentrated attack. "It's a trap," he told the Grand Admiral. "What kind of trap? They're outnumbered 5-1. "I don't know, but these humans don't make tactical mistakes." The Grand Admiral laughed. "You're giving them too much credit, War Master. They're primitives with stolen technology. Today, we end this war." He gave the order to attack, and 10,000 Empire ships moved forward to destroy the human fleet. They had no idea that they were flying into the most carefully planned ambush in military history. The humans had learned from every previous battle. They knew exactly how the Empire fought, exactly what mistakes their enemies would make, and they were ready to show the galaxy what happened when you murdered human children. Admiral Jiang Min stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching 10,000 Empire ships advance toward his fleet. Around him, his crew worked with calm efficiency. No one spoke about the odds. No one mentioned that they were outnumbered 5-1. "Sir, the Empire fleet is in range," reported his weapons officer. "Hold position. Let them come closer." On the Empire flagship, War Master Zephyrian felt his scales prickle with unease. "Admiral, the humans aren't moving. They're just sitting there." "Good," replied Grand Admiral Thex. "Makes this easier. All ships, open fire." 10,000 Empire ships unleashed their weapons at once. The space between the fleets lit up with energy beams and missile trails. It was the most concentrated firepower in galactic history. The beams struck the human ships and scattered harmlessly off new types of shields. The missiles detonated uselessly against defensive fields that shouldn't have been possible with human technology. "Impossible," Thex muttered. "Their technology was primitive 6 months ago." "Admiral," Jiang Min's voice came over the communication channel. "You made one big mistake." "What mistake?" "You gave us time to get angry." The human fleet suddenly came alive. Ships that had been motionless began moving in patterns that hurt to watch. They spun and rolled and accelerated in directions that violated basic physics. "Sir, how are they moving like that?" asked an Empire sensor operator. Zephyrian studied the readings and felt cold fear creep up his spine. "They're not using normal engines. They're using controlled gravity manipulation." "That's impossible. Gravity manipulation requires understanding of dimensional physics that takes civilizations thousands of years to develop. Tell that to the humans." The first wave of human ships reached the Empire formation. Instead of fighting ship to ship, like civilized species, they flew straight into the middle of the Empire fleet and released clouds of small objects. "What are those?" Thex demanded. His answer came when the objects began to move on their own, swarming over Empire ships like angry insects. They weren't missiles or fighters. They were something new. Nanomachines, Dr. Baek Young had called them during the briefing. Self-replicating robots that eat metal and turn it into more robots. Captain Nam Yoon watched from the bridge of extinction protocol as Empire ships began to dissolve from the inside out. "How long until full effect?" he asked. 30 minutes, Dr. Baek Young replied. Any Empire ship touched by the nanomachines will be completely consumed. And our ships? The nanomachines are programmed to ignore human technology. We're safe. On the Empire flagship, chaos erupted as crew members watched their hull plating being eaten away by microscopic machines. All ships, emergency jump to hyperspace, Thex ordered. Sir, we can't, came the panicked reply. The nanomachines have damaged our jump drives. Then use conventional engines. Get us away from those things. But escape was impossible. The nanomachines spread from ship to ship, turning the Empire's greatest fleet into food for humanity's smallest weapons. Zephyrian watched a 1,000-meter battleship collapse into a pile of gray dust in less than 10 minutes. What have we done? He whispered. Lieutenant Moonday recorded everything from his position on a human scout ship. He was young, barely 22, and this was his first major battle. What he saw would stay with him for the rest of his life. God, he muttered as he watched Empire crews abandon their dissolving ships. We're not just defeating them, we're erasing them. Problem, Lieutenant? Asked his captain. No, sir. It's just, they're trying to surrender. Too late for that. They had their chance at surrender 6 months ago. Moonday watched as escape. Pods fled from dying Empire ships, only to be destroyed by human fighters. No quarter given, no mercy shown. Sir, this is genocide. His captain's voice was hard as steel. No, Lieutenant. Genocide is what they did to the new soul. This is justice. The battle continued for 18 hours. The Empire's Grand Armada, the pride of their civilization, was systematically destroyed. Ships that weren't consumed by nanomachines were rammed by human vessels. Crews that escaped in life pods were hunted down and killed. Admiral Jiang Min watched, it all with cold satisfaction. Signal all human ships. I want every Empire vessel in this system destroyed. No survivors. Sir, they're broadcasting surrender requests. I don't care if they're broadcasting prayers. Kill them all. By the end of the second day, nothing remained of the Empire fleet except expanding clouds of debris and nanomachine dust. 10,000 ships reduced to nothing. The human fleet had lost 800 ships, but every single crew had fought to the last breath. Even damaged ships continued fighting until they were completely destroyed. Captain, Moonday said quietly, what happens now? His captain smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. Now we show them what happens when you attack Earth. The surviving human fleet regrouped and jumped to hyperspace, heading for Empire space. Behind them, the nanomachines continued their work, consuming every piece of metal in the system. On the Empire capital world, Supreme Chancellor Vorthak received the news in stunned silence. His greatest fleet, 10,000 of his best ships, completely destroyed by a species that had barely discovered space travel. How? He asked. Unknown, Chancellor, replied his aide. The last transmission we received was a human broadcast. Should I play it? Yes. Admiral Jiang Min's face appeared on the screen. His eyes were cold as winter space. Supreme Chancellor. Vorthak, this is Admiral Jiang Min of the Earth Defense Force. Your Grand Armada is gone. Every ship destroyed. Every crew dead. Vorthak's 4 eyes widened in shock. You wanted to see what humans are capable of. You wanted to teach us fear. Congratulations. You've succeeded. But you made one mistake. What mistake? Vorthak whispered. You assumed we would be the ones learning fear. Yang Min leaned forward. We are coming for your worlds now. We will burn every Empire planet until you understand what you have awakened. We surrender, Vorthak shouted at the screen. We surrender completely. But Jiang Min wasn't finished. You had your chance for surrender. You chose to murder children instead. Now you get to experience what humans do to child murderers. The transmission ended, leaving Vorthak alone with his terror. Across the Empire, news of the Grand Armada's destruction spread like wildfire. Panic erupted on 1,000 worlds as citizens realized that the humans weren't just defending themselves anymore. They were coming. War Master Zephyrian had escaped the battle in a damaged scout ship. He landed on a remote Empire outpost and immediately sent a message to every military commander in the galaxy. The humans have become something we never expected. They have turned themselves into a weapon of pure destruction. Surrender immediately or they will kill us all. But it was too late for surrender. Humanity had tasted Empire blood, and they wanted more. The age of human mercy was over. The age of human vengeance had begun. President Song Hae stood in the command center deep beneath Seoul, watching status reports flow in from across the galaxy. Red dots marked former Empire worlds, now under human control. Yellow dots showed worlds currently being invaded. Green dots were the few Empire strongholds still resisting. There weren't many green dots left. "Madam President," said her aide, "Marshal Ryu Gi is requesting permission to proceed with the final assault on the Empire capital." "Granted. Tell him to broadcast the surrender ceremony across the galaxy. I want every species to see what happens when you threaten humanity." 6 months had passed since the destruction of the Grand Armada. In that time, human forces had swept across Empire space like a wildfire. They didn't occupy worlds in the traditional sense. They simply destroyed everything military and left the civilian populations to survive as best they could. Marshal Ryu Gi commanded the occupation forces from his flagship Final Warning. He was a practical man who took no pleasure in destruction, but he understood necessity. "Sir, the capital world is requesting terms of surrender," reported his communications. "Officer." "No terms," Ryu Gi replied. "Complete and unconditional surrender only. They hand over every government official, every military commander, and every piece of military equipment. After that, we'll decide if they get to keep breathing." On the Empire capital world, the scene was chaos. Government buildings burned while human soldiers rounded up officials. The Great Council Chamber, where Supreme Chancellor Vorthok had once issued orders to 12,000 star systems, was now a detention center. Dr. Shin Ai walked through the ruins with her recording equipment, documenting everything for history. As Earth's leading war historian, she wanted future generations to understand exactly what had happened here. "The Empire capital falls to human forces after a siege lasting 6 days, she spoke into her recorder. "Local casualties are estimated at 2 million, mostly military personnel who refused to surrender." She paused at a massive crater where the Empire's primary military academy had once stood. Human casualties. 17 soldiers wounded. None killed. The technological advantage has become so overwhelming that this can barely be called a war anymore. Captain Lee Su stood on the bridge of his assault ship, watching the last Empire fortress surrender. He had commanded the final attack, using weapons that turned the massive structure into vapor in less than an hour. "Sir, we are receiving surrender broadcasts from the remaining Empire worlds," his communications officer reported. "How many left?" 43 star systems, sir, all requesting immediate ceasefire and protection from human forces. Grant the ceasefire, but tell them protection comes with a price. The price was simple: complete dismantlement of all military forces, submission to human authority, and payment of massive reparations for the murdered colonists. Most worlds agreed immediately. 3 tried to resist. Those 3 worlds no longer existed. President Song Hae addressed the galaxy from the former Empire Council chamber. Behind her, the 12 species that had once ruled the stars knelt in chains. "Citizens of the galaxy," she began, "today marks the end of the Galactic Empire and the beginning of a new age. For too long, this galaxy has been ruled by those who believed might makes right." She gestured to the kneeling prisoners. "These beings ordered the murder of 15,000 innocent human colonists. They thought we would submit to their threats. They were wrong. From this day forward, the galaxy will be governed by new rules. The Terran protocols will ensure that no species can ever again use military might to oppress others. The Terran protocols were simple but absolute. No species could maintain military forces capable of interstellar warfare without human approval. Any act of aggression against civilians would result in total destruction of the aggressor's civilization. All interstellar trade and communication would be monitored by human-controlled systems. Some of you may think these rules are harsh, Song Hai continued. Remember that we offered peace once before. We were answered with murder. This is what mercy looks like after you reject our friendship. In the audience, representatives from hundreds of species listened in terrified silence. They had all heard what happened to worlds that defied humanity. War Master Zephyrian, now a prisoner awaiting trial, spoke quietly to the guard nearest him. Your species has become something terrible. The human guard, a young woman named Park Ji-won, looked at him with cold eyes. We became what you made us. You wanted to see monsters? Congratulations. But you've gone too far. You've destroyed entire civilizations. 3 civilizations, Ji-won corrected. 3 civilizations that chose to fight rather than surrender. Everyone else who surrendered is still alive. You call this mercy? I call this justice. You murdered our children. We could have murdered all of yours. Instead, we just removed your ability to hurt anyone ever again. Zephyrian fell silent. There was no arguing with that logic. Dr. Shin Ai continued her documentation, interviewing survivors from both sides. The pattern was always the same: shock, disbelief, and finally grudging acceptance that humanity had become the galaxy's dominant species. The transformation is complete, she recorded. In less than 2 years, humanity has gone from a single-planet species to the rulers of the galaxy. The empire that took thousands of years to build was destroyed in months. More importantly, we have established a new paradigm. Wars of conquest are no longer possible. Any species that attempts military expansion will face immediate human intervention and total destruction. The galaxy is at peace, not because its inhabitants are peaceful, but because war has become impossible. The final ceremony took place on Earth, in the same room where Admiral Lee Jun had once planned humanity's first peaceful contact with alien life. President Song Hai signed the document that formally established human hegemony over the galaxy. This is not an empire, she declared to the assembled representatives. We do not want to rule you. We want to make sure you never again rule others through force. The choice is simple. Live in peace, under human protection, or die resisting. Human justice. We have seen what happens when species choose the second option. Supreme Chancellor Vorthak, now stripped of all rank and privilege, stood before the human tribunal that would decide his fate. His 4 eyes had lost their arrogance. Now they showed only fear. You humans, he said, you have become the very thing you claim to oppose. You are conquerors. President Song Hai looked at him calmly. No, Chancellor. Conquerors take what they want and rule through fear. We took only what was necessary to prevent future wars. You destroyed 3 civilizations. 3 civilizations that chose destruction over surrender. We gave them the same choice you gave our colonists. The difference is, we actually honored surrender when it was offered. What happens to us now? You will spend the rest of your life in prison, thinking about 15,000 innocent people who died because of your arrogance. Your species will live, but they will never again have the power to threaten others. And if we resist? Song Hai's expression didn't change. Then you will join the 3 civilizations that no longer exist. The tribunal ended, and Vorthak was led away to spend his remaining years in a cell, surrounded by recordings of the human colonists he had ordered murdered. The galaxy settled into its new reality. Trade resumed, science advanced, and art flourished. But always in the background was the knowledge that humanity watched everything. Children of all species learned the story in school. Once there was an empire that ruled through fear. They met a young species and demanded submission. The young species offered friendship. The empire chose murder instead. The empire was wrong. Captain Kim Tae, now promoted to admiral, stood on the bridge of his new flagship and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of known space, other civilizations might be watching. Other empires might be planning their own expansion. Let them come, he thought. Let them learn what his people had learned, that humanity offered friendship once, and only once. After that, they offered only ashes. The final broadcast went out across the galaxy on the anniversary of the colonist massacre. It was simple and direct. This is Earth. We destroyed the Galactic Empire in 437 days. We did this because they murdered our people after we offered peace. This message is for anyone else who might be listening. We are still here. We are still watching. We still remember our murdered children. Choose wisely. The message ended, and the galaxy remained silent. Everyone had learned the lesson. When you threaten humanity's children, humanity doesn't stop until everything that threatened them is ash.